Hello, Keith Rucker at VintageMachinery.org. Well, my sickness continues, guys. Another machine followed me home. Just couldn't turn it down. It was needing a new home. It was needing to be adopted, and it was a really good deal. And heck, you can't have too many lathes, right? What we got here is a 16-inch Monarch Model K lathe. I think it was made around 1962. I looked the serial number up the other week, and it was early 60s, 62 I think was the date on it. And anyway, it needed a new home, and I have given it one. So let me tell you a little bit about this machine and our plans for it. And it does have a few issues. One fairly, I don't know that I'd call it major. It is major, but I think it's not something that we can't fix ourselves. And then there's another little problem that I've run into that I still am on the fence about resolving, but let's give you a tour of this thing and tell you about it. So first off, a little bit about the lathe itself, the features, what all was included with it, etc. So again, it's a 16-inch swing. I can't remember what goes over the compound, but a 16-inch swing here over the ways. Nice size machine. Takes a D16 chuck, which is the same chuck that goes on my big Monarch actually. It also is the same chuck arrangement that goes on the Lodge in Shipley out at the museum. And I have a few chucks and stuff that I use that are my personal ones that I use out there, which is nice because between the three lathes, I can share chucks. I have two of them here in this shop, and of course the one out at the museum. Now my LeBlanc lathe, it takes a different type of mounting arrangement on it, but no big deal. I've got a good selection of chucks for it as well. Let's see, it's got a nice range of speeds on it from 28 to 1200 RPMs. And of course you can do that by changing the clutch arrangements up here. We got our quick change gearbox here for threading, and feeds and speeds, or speeds actually. So, and again, a nice selection there that you can go through. It came with there's a 4-jaw chuck on here. There's also a 3-jaw chuck down in the chip pan that came with it. Came with a Loris type tool post holder. I think it's a CXA. I can't remember. I'll have to double check that. I know on the Lodge in Shipley out at the museum we have a CA holder, and this is a size smaller than that, which I'm on the fence as to whether I just leave that on here or whether I try to get a CA holder so that, again, I can kind of move tooling around between machines. I'm kind of leaning toward finding a CA holder for this, and maybe even for the LeBlanc, just so that I can have tools set up and just be able to go from one machine to the other, but we'll see about that. I've got the CXA, and I actually have another CXA that I could put on the LeBlanc, so anyway, I got to figure all that out. We got a steady rest down here for it. Did not come with a follow rest, but we do have the steady rest. It's in good shape. This one's got a tailstock, unlike my big Monarch that I'm going to have to work something out on that. One neat thing I really like about these Monarch lathes, and this one has it in there as well, is there's a stop on here for threading. So you just turn this little set screw right here, and that releases it, and you can go. But you can tighten this thing up, and when you're threading, you go to the stop, and then you back out, go back in. You don't have to look at your dial. You just go to the stop. That's a feature I've really been wanting on lathes, so good deal there. Let's see what else is down here. It also came with a little turret tool post, so that little quick change, or you can put 4 tools on there and index them around. Doubt I'll ever use it, but it came with one, and let's see, I think there's it takes a number 4 Morse taper, and there's a live center and a Jacobs chuck that fit on there as well. So I think that was the features on there. It also has the taper attachment on it, which is another nice feature. Not all lathes have that, and really like to have that. I don't use it a lot, but man, when you need a taper attachment, it's nice to have. So pretty well equipped. When I got it, I will tell you, it was painted a gray color, and we brought it out to the museum unloaded it out there, and then I had to move it here to the house. Well, while we had it at the museum, this thing was nasty. I got the steam cleaner out. We steam cleaned this thing, and when I started steam cleaning it, the paint started coming off of it. So I probably spent about 3 or 4 hours really trying to get as much of the old paint off, because once the paint started coming off, and the paint job on here wasn't that great, I said, well, I'm going to get as much of it off as I can. I don't know that I'm going to do a full teardown restoration on this. I'll probably kind of get it up and going and see if it needs it. Just looking at things, I really don't think that for the most part we're going to have to really tear this thing down to do, but I probably will go ahead and give it a paint job at least, particularly after the old paint started coming off so easily. It's interesting, I have found there's a blue, there's an orange. That orange may have been a primer. I think this lathe may have been painted blue originally. And then there was about 3 different shades of gray paint on it. So this machine's been painted multiple times over the years. And like I said, the paint just started, it just started coming off with the steam cleaner, the high pressure steam cleaner. And I just took advantage of that and got as much off of it as I could. So issues. I got one fairly major issue, and that is, if you look right here, this rod, it is bent and it is broken right here where it goes into the quick change gearbox. And this is what engages and disengages the spindle. So you got a handle right here. It also snapped the end off. I've got it. That's an easy fix there. There's another handle over here on the carriage. You pull that up, and that's what basically turns the spindle on. What happened, and the person I got this from, he fully disclosed. He said when he got this machine, they were loading it up. They had a bridge crane, and they were going to pick it up and set it on the trailer. Well, when they strapped this thing with some slings, they weren't paying attention, and they put the sling across the top of this rod rather than going kind of up under them over here. And when they picked up on it, of course, the weakest thing gave. It bent that, it broke it. I looked at it, I said, you know, I really think I can fix this. Yeah, it's going to be a pain, but this was an incredibly good deal because of this problem. And this is the kind of problem that I think I can fix. I haven't dug into it yet to really see what all is going to be involved. That'll probably be a series of videos down the road, but that's really kind of the big issue on this machine. And we're going to have to deal with that. So you guys will get to come along for the ride whenever we get to tackle it. So the other issue that I'm aware of, and I really have not resolved what the problem is on this one yet, and I'm not as worried about it because I'm fairly sure we can figure it out, and it's electrical. When we were at the museum, I wired this thing up. They've got a good 3-phase power right off the power grid out there. So we wired it up, and I went over there and hit the button, and it just kind of hummed. And I said, So I went around, I did some quick diagnostics with a check. Yeah, I had all my power coming in, but the motor just wasn't started up. So I said, well, let me get it home, and I'll see what I can do. Well, I got it home, and the first thing I checked is I started pulling some panels off down here, and you can see I've got some panels off down to the motor. And the motor was wired for a high voltage, so 440 volts, but it's a dual voltage motor. You can change the leads around to switch it over to 220. I'm running on 220. We were running 220 at the museum. So I switched that around, hooked it back up, hit the button. Well, it still was kind of humming. It wasn't, the motor really wasn't starting, but it sounded better. So I said, got back around to the electrical box in the back. I'm not an electrician. I understand what's going on, but you know, some of the stuff I'm really not clear on. So I did some quick troubleshooting, and it looked like the motor starters were, you know, working right. Everything that I needed to do checked out. So I said, well, I'm going to bypass the motor starters and, you know, just to test the motor out and kind of take that out of the equation. So I basically wired the motor in directly to a power lead, plugged it up, and when I did, it sounded like the motor was trying to single phase. In other words, like only running on one phase. It was trying to start, it wouldn't start, you know, and then after probably 3 or 4 seconds of that, it tripped a 20 amp breaker. And my motor is rated for about 20 amps, so, you know, the motor should have started. So I think I've got a motor problem. I'm just going to have to get in there and figure that out. And probably what I'll do is I'll pull the motor out. We got a really good motor shop here in town, and I'll probably just take it up there and let them troubleshoot it, figure out what's wrong. You know, it may be problems with the leads inside. Who knows? The motor may need rewinding. I don't know. Worst case scenario, it's a 7.5 horsepower motor. I've actually got a Baldor 7.5 horse motor that I could swap out and put in here. So I'll probably take the motor that's in here out up there, let them look at it. If it's an easy fix, we'll probably fix it and put this motor back in. If it's going to be a major thing, I'll just swap motors. No big deal. And then hopefully all my motor controls and stuff will work once we get that done. So unknown, again, something we're going to have to work through, but I'm not so much worried about that. I got an extra motor. We can get the motor going. So other than that, the only other issues that I really know in here are fairly minor. For example, the little hand wheel, the handle sticks out of the hand wheel that's been snapped off. Hey, you can buy a new one from McMaster-Carr. Get that one out, put a new one in. No big deal. Same thing up here on the compound. You're supposed to have two little handles. I'll probably just buy a whole new little handle. Again, you can get these at McMaster-Carr and just replace that. Other than that, I'm not aware of any other issues. And yeah, we got some issues we're going to have to deal with. But when all is said and done, these Monarch lathes were really nice. This one is a fairly late model one, early 60s. Yeah, that's not really new. And while it does have a few issues, overall the machine appears to be in good shape. I think when the person that had it before me bought it, he bought it because it was in decent shape. But when it messed up, it just kind of got stuck in a corner in his shop and has been sitting there for years. So, I haven't run this thing. I've turned it by hand. I don't hear any problems with the gearbox. I hadn't pulled the cover off back here to take a look at the gears, but I don't anticipate there being any major issues in there. At least keep my fingers crossed. But next project. Or maybe not next project, but an upcoming project. So game plan for this machine, it's not at the top of the list for getting going, but it's probably not far from the top. I think this would be a nice machine to have. Of course, we'll have the LeBlanc going first. Got a little extra capacity on this, a little extra size, and I really like a lot of features on these Monarchs, so I really want to get this going. But we got a couple other things that's probably ahead of it in the queue. Short term, I've got it kind of sitting out in the middle of the shop right now where I can get around and work on it. This machine is going to get parked straight against the wall behind me, and it'll be running parallel to the wall. So before I move it back into place, I think over the Christmas break here, we're going to spend a little time, and I'm going to get the back side of this cleaned up and probably painted. Yeah, it sounds crazy. But if I can get the backside of this thing painted and more or less done, I can slide it up against the wall. I'll leave room where I can get behind it. I always like to do that on lathe anyway. So I can get back there and work on things as I'm working on this. But I want to go ahead and at least get the backside of it painted so I don't have to do that parked up against the wall or have to pull it back out again. And I'll probably have a day of work, getting the old paint off and getting it prepped and at least on the backside. Depending on how time schedule goes and other things, I may go ahead and just to get a paint job on the whole machine. I don't know about the front side yet. It's going to be a little bit more entailed to get the front painted because there's just a lot more stuff. But we'll see. That may happen over the Christmas break or not. Quite honestly, I'm more concentrating on getting the shop finished over Christmas, but I am going to try to at least get that backside done. So there you go, guys. Another machine for the machine shop. We're going to be pretty well equipped in here, I think, when it's all said and done. I'm excited to have this. Quite honestly, when I got my first two lathes, I said, well, I'm good. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I kind of like to have one in between. And this one kind of fell in my lap, so it's going to go. It's going to come in here. So with these three lathes, I think I'm in pretty good shape in the lathe business. I don't know that I really need anything else. A little small lathe, might end up coming here at some point in time. You know, for doing real small work, a small lathe is nice, but I don't know that I really need one. We'll see. You never know. What can I say, guys? I have the illness, so who knows what else may come in here, but I'll be in good shape with this one. So there you go. Upcoming project, something to look forward to, another machine to go through and restore, or like I said, I don't know if we're going to do a full-blown restoration, but at least get it up and going. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you later.